We've been hearing about this mendicant who fancied himself living a different lifestyle. And this was the first of many different lifestyles. Well, not just lifestyles, lives. They were different lives altogether. And we get the impression that these were all in his imagination. They were just fancies which became very real. And Rama asks, how indeed did these dream objects become real entities? And Vasishta tells him to abandon the notion that imagination is something real. So we wouldn't have a problem with that, would we? The imagination is not something real. But then, what do we imagine to be real? And this is the point that's getting put across here, is we make this distinction between real and imaginary. The point is, whatever is real is imaginary. Whatever we think is real is imagination. So we should abandon all notions of what is real. Because what is real is what is experienced at any moment. So when we're in a dream, that's real. When we're in love, that's real. But when we start talking about memories of the dream, memories of being in love, then somehow the reality has faded. These particular realities have faded. What's the difference between dreams and memories? They both exist in our thoughts, don't they? They're both thought forms. We'd say, well, memories are things that really happened. Dreams aren't. But at the time of the dream, that's what was really happening. At the time of the memory, that was what was really happening. We have notions about reality. We have notions about a hard, fixed reality out there. We sometimes think that that is scientific, but it isn't scientific. It's a very limited understanding of what scientific means. We think if we can measure something, then it's real. If we are scientific, then we'll say that space and time are real. What is space? Can we examine what space is? Can space be examined under a microscope? Yeah, we can measure it. We're very good at measuring space. What is it that we're measuring? We can measure time. Can time be examined under a microscope? Show me some time. Oh, we've got our measures of time. Oh, we've got our measures of space. Is this our scientific reality? It's just measures. Measures of what? What are we measuring when we measure space? What are we measuring when we count out time? Is that reality? These are notions. These are notions. These are our thought forms. And we're told that the dreamlike nature of thought form is realized only by the intense practice of yoga, not otherwise. Now it's not clear here whether this yoga is traditional yoga, which involves intense focusing of the mind, or whether it's the yoga of self-inquiry. But the point was made that if the one-pointed devotion to an object is not here, then that object is destroyed. In fact, so what we're saying here is something only exists if it's in our immediate awareness. If it's not in our immediate awareness, then it becomes notional. Its reality fades. just like a good friend who's living in another part of the world. We might still believe that we're good friends, but it's notional. Maybe when we meet that good friend again sometime in a few years distant, then it will all be remembered what a good friend this person is. Or it might be we found that friendship isn't quite what we thought it was. So the point is, unless the reality is right in front of you, then it becomes notional. So this is what we need to experience. Everything exists in awareness. Otherwise it's notional. It is by one-pointed contemplation of may I become a celestial, or may I become a learned man, and as the fruit of such contemplation that one is enabled to become one, or many, or an ignoramus, or a man of knowledge. It is possible by concentration and meditation to become a divinity or a human being and function accordingly. We can understand this paragraph in terms of traditional yogic contemplation, and this is what the mendicant did. He wasn't getting any feedback from any other source. His awareness was totally focused on his contemplation. But we could also understand this one-pointed contemplation in terms of our basic conviction, our basic feeling about ourselves, about who we are. Are we a celestial? Are we a learned man? Do we have the power to soar in our imagination? Or do we feel impoverished and diminished? And depending on this conviction, in terms of our personal story, in terms of the conviction in the story that we have of ourselves, we can either become a divinity or a human being and function accordingly.